Okay. So last class we uh, try to understand communication between the microservices, and Spring, the simplest way to talk or call or invoke one microservice to another microservice is the REST client, right? So REST client is the concept, a library provided by our Spring framework. We have to last class understand how we have built the two microservices and how they are exchanging data between that. So Spring framework provide the following uh, different way where the one REST endpoint communicate or talk to another REST endpoint. So currently we are just studying the first one, REST client. Okay, this web client REST template or REST template are the, you can say, older version of the REST client, you can say, right? So REST
Okay.
template, whatever you are doing before this, generally before the new API, REST client, each and every Spring developer using the REST client to communicate to each other, right? And this REST client is available in the latest version of Spring framework only, because we are using the latest version of Spring. So we can use this REST client, right? So
Right.
REST client is the uh, decent version, yeah, easiest version, or you can say uh, simple way to communicate between the one microservice and another. So I'm trying to say, if you are starting REST client, that means you already understand the REST template as well as. So that means both we have covered, right? If you
Okay.
uh, if you read
Same,
this
same
document,
code. Code is the
same,
same.
yeah. This is the older version. This is the newer version. Different methods only, right?
Hmm.
And Spring suggest, please migrate your code if possible, if you want to change from the REST template to REST client. So that's good. Just for FYI, if you know keys, maybe in the future classes, what is the REST template? REST template is also the same like a REST client. Just method name is the different. Notice the synchronous client with a Fluent API, synchronous client with a template method, right?
Right.
Objective is the both are the same. So last classes we have, if you go detail here, somewhere they mention to migrating from the 1 minute. REST. Notice here, REST template provided the high level API, and this good. So this is the REST template API and body something. Yes, so this is the section where you find migrating from REST template to REST client, right? If
Hmm.
some developer are using the REST client, they can easily migrate to the REST client, because the object passed to here mentioned. This is here something REST template into here. They simply whatever we are saying, like either if last class we can say, how can I pop the get endpoint URL retrieve body. This thing previously we are using this way: get for object, your URL, your class, and other parameter, right? So in this way previously we are calling. Similarly, get API URL retrieve body, some parameter here pass. Previously we are passing get for object, only one method, different overloaded method, right? Similarly,
Right.
get for entity. Here it starts say I say here two entity, right? Two entity. First get API, then say URL, then I want to get data, and it responds in two entity. So here say only one method, get for entity, and pass different value here. So here we're not mentioning you are going to call the get endpoint, yeah, post endpoint, something, no. So here now this REST client say, especially you want to call get endpoint or post put endpoint or post endpoint, just mention the clear, or you can say documentation, the post for post. Here just simply post location, post for something, right? So all the methods they are here match. So our objective is we are not going to understand each and everything. As per our need, you can explain, right?
Right.
So in the last class, we have covered the basic, like these things we have covered. How we can call the get endpoint, just URL and body, right? And we also one cover uh, URL and two entity. Means two entity means ki I want not only body part, but I want to status code, header information. And similarly, we can, and last class we can get a API by ID. Here you can pass any ID and you can get the API. So these things we have covered, and today let's cover some more. Let's see. I want to create the post endpoint, or delete endpoint, or any endpoint, right? So just get similar flavor. So it's clear what we are going to today. Just going to do some more add-on, just understanding how our REST client help us to invoke any kind of REST API that one microservice service, right? Provided. It's okay?
Yeah.
Great. So let I can what I can say. Let's start the using the same three services which last we discussed, right? This is
Right.
our consumer service, right? So we continue the same after that, because we are not going to just creating same endpoint that's already we did, right? Just
So we continue from the last
class.
structure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
All three
All
different. Yeah.
Yeah, one for your consumer, or one we have a for employee service, right? Let's
Right.
start our application. We started,
Yeah. One for consumer, one for employee, and
and
one
one
for,
we created department as well as, right?
yeah. So consumer
So the
consume from both.
consumer can consume both or whatever. So might be maybe if anyone using older version of Spring framework, this code like REST client might be not available. Not they might be they cannot get in library. So for anyone who whenever you maybe are going to build this application, be carefully. You have to take the latest version of Spring framework, right? Else you cannot find this REST client class, right? This is
Okay.
the
Okay.
one thing. Please be note, because notice whenever let's say I show my POM file, right? So it should be clear. If you go to the start, last class I missed to say you कि this feature is just from the latest version of the Spring Initializer. If you go with the default like this way, might be yeah 3.2. Starting we can use 3.2. You can find 3.2. If you are using the 3.1, you cannot get, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so
3.2.
we have to use the 3.2. How to know this is the 3.2 version? The please be careful, right? Because first someone might be using the older version of Spring and try to integrate this REST client. It's hard. They cannot find this library, right? So if you notice, this is the interface, and look the this interface. This come under the our Spring 6.1.1 version, right? This is the library Spring Web. So good option whenever you are working on the IntelliJ, you can find which, if I'm using this, which package this come, which jar we are using. You can just go to the F3 or go to the definition and found this is the package we are using. The note is the same package REST client. Similarly, you have a REST template, right?
Right.
The REST template is come from the older version, and but REST client is only available in the newer version of the Spring. So please, this is the note. Okay. Else, someone maybe try to find the REST client. This class is not get. Okay. So
Okay.
last class we have a cover like let's all is done. Yes, this is the consumer. and this is our employee service, and this is our.
Now, at work, do we is this REST API already there, or is something that we create at work?
We have to create depend upon our use case. Many times we are creating my own microservice. Many times we are using the existing one, right?
Oh,
Depend which kind of software you are developing. But
right, right,
generally,
okay,
whenever you're starting your application, first you have to develop the microservices.
right.
And later part you decide, okay, oh, this services I'm going to consume from another microservices, right?
Hmm. Okay, okay.
Okay.
Hmm. Got it.
Okay. So let's say start all these services, right?
Right.
Yes. Ask question.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Just curious.
And IntelliJ, you have to open this multiple three version, or in only one you have option to add all these three project here as well as both you have option.
Oh, okay, okay. I see, I see. Yeah.
What is this?
Some kind of error.
What is this? Say JDK 20 is not supported by the Java version 1.5. Let me something uh, set up, check the project setup. Okay, yesterday I moved this project from temporary to here. So something due to the movement. Okay. Uh, project setup. Okay. So yesterday I just moved this project structure and check this. This is the your dev service. This
And
is the module. Notice this is the Java 5 somehow language set, right?
right,
You
right.
have to say we are using the latest version, right?
21. Right, right.
We
Okay.
are using latest version. Apply any other library module
So
artifact tree.
you click on module. That's how you change your
You
project.
have to generally whenever each project have a something here, go to project structure, right here,
Project
project
structure.
structure, and here you find the complete. This is the project detail, means project name. Your which JDK you are using, right?
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
This is the default language. You can set default here. Say, okay, I'm using the JDK 21, right? Latest one. So
Hmm.
this is the project setup you can check, and you can check module as well as module means here which path you are setting, right?
Right,
Library, nothing, artifact, nothing, this is nothing. Maybe later part, someone maybe this is very important, but not for me. And SDK means which Java version you have set here, right? This you have to just check properly, all are the check or not, right?
right.
And let after that you have to start. So these are the some basic things. Again, this is very feeling uncomfortable. What saying again? Java version is not supported. Okay. Now we have to check compiler. Compiler. Okay. Java compiler.
Hold on.
Compiler.
Hold on.
This is the Java compiler. Here Java compiler by default say, oh, I have to 21, right?
Yes, Ajay bhai.
Hmm. Oh,
Ajay bhai, give me
yeah,
1 minute. I'll be
yeah,
back.
yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
I have to just refresh Maven somehow relate to this project. And after that, let's start. It should run. Okay. So at this good option, whenever you are moving project from one place to another place, please run this Maven sync, you can say. So this service is started most probably. Yes, it should be. And let's check other one. This is also safer side. Please Go your POM and refresh them and reload. Are good option. This is the from here, or you can simply here and go reload. This is the second options we have, and just minimize them. And similarly, let's reload this employee service here. Go to the Maven and just uh, reload. And this might be reload done. And just start this service. Yeah, I'm started this our consumer service.
Yeah, Ajay, I'm back.
Ah, great. So I also started services.
Oh, you fixed it?
Yeah, just we have to reload the Maven file.
You need to reload which?
Pom.xml right here.
Oh, reload. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, okay.
If you do, whenever you are copying project from one folder to another folder, sometime IntelliJ just miss some configuration path. And once reload, in this POM file, already each and everything mentioned. This is the Java version 21, which library required, what version required, right? So just
Right,
reload this application by default. All the concepts are set properly, right?
right.
So I have started this service running, and let's this service I started this one as well as, and let's start this employee service. So first we have to check all the services are running and go to the localhost Swagger 808, I think employee service, and 8081 department service, and I think 8082 is our
Consumer.
consumer service. So it should start. Still, this service is starting going on, right? It will take
Right.
time. So let me
Did we
get,
create database for this too?
actually we are using H2 database, I think, right?
Oh, okay, okay. H2.
So for this consumer, this is the your department. Check some data exists or not. Let's try, and yes, data are exist. That's good. And similarly, now check this Swagger. Is this also working?
And
Let
and this data is loading by the server.
yes, this is come from our H2 database.
Yeah. H2 database. Yeah.
So these all come from H2 database. So now let's hear this. So now consumer service are successfully able to all the get all employee, get all department. If you click here, I'm getting the all the employee, right? That's good.
Right.
If I'm this means ki our consumer service are able to talk to exchange data from the department service to the consumer service, right? So
Right.
now what we are going to do currently till now what we cover, if our employee service have a some set of data, right? Maybe employee detail, all details, right? So our consumer service can talk to the hey employee service, give me your all employee detail. I can get, right? I can get here and I can display here, right? What
Right.
I'm doing, right? Similarly, in the department service, hey department service, give your all details that we can take data. This consumer service also want, hey, I want to post some data to your database, right? Not only consume, I can post as well as. So for posting, we need a post endpoint, right? So
Hmm.
let's in this microservice, I'm going to create one post endpoints, and just in this endpoint are used by your consumer microservice to generating new data, right?
So you create the post on
Uh,
consumer or
consumer can request, hey, this is my data, can you post them? Can you store them? Right?
okay, okay. Yeah.
So here in this our employee service, let's go and just build one post endpoint, right? Instead of get, right? So here say, hey, I am going to just create one create an, okay? My screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, create, and here need one request parameter, request body, emp, right?
Right.
adds an EMP and say, hey, I'm going to repository.save, right?
Save.
Save
Yeah.
employee. And here we return the employee, right?
Right.
So here this microservice are just saying, hey, I can uh, created the employee, right? So if rest, this is the endpoint done, right?
Right.
No, you have to change the post mapping, right?
Postman. Yeah.
Yeah. So restart. So now our employee microservice are have a one new endpoint, that is the post, but they have this endpoint can be used by the anyone, can be used by employee service itself or used by the different microservice, right? Anyone can call
Right.
these endpoints. Generally we are calling from across the world, anywhere, right? So let's refresh. So now this is a new endpoint post, and let's check it's working or not. I say, hey, I want to just, I don't want to pass any ID, I just pass the employee name, mm, Manan, okay, and just create. And let's, this is the created ID, the 7, right?
Right.
And let's check by ID it's work or not, right? ID 7, and we are getting data, right, Manan? So that's good. That means this post endpoint working. So now this endpoint I'm not going to consume by this. I am saying, hey, consumer service, you can also call my post endpoint, right?
Right.
So how do, let's, here we can create some create a new employee, right? Here request new employee, right? Something. So here
So from here, when you make the request, you make a post or get request.
post all this is our objective. This
Always post. Okay.
documentation say you can invoke any endpoint, post endpoint, get endpoint, delete endpoint, anything. So here we are trying to understand how we can going to the post endpoint, right?
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. I
So now
understand.
consumer service, hey consumer service, I am just say I am going to create one more. Where I'm all is done. Let's here say, hey, I am going to say at the rate maybe post mapping, and here say, hey, slash create new employee, okay, EMP, right?
Right.
And say public EMP, and say create here say at the rate request body EMP, EMP. Question now, in this microservice, there is no repository because this is the consumer. They have no in database, maybe because they are just displaying data from the different microservice, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
now
Yeah.
this microservice receive create request, but they how they are going to save? Because there will no any option to repository save, right? So
Right.
question,
Right.
how is they going? So hey,
Can we use send
to this
method?
information, yes. What is saying?
Send any method called send?
Which class?
Oh no no. So we don't use save because it's not there. Like it doesn't exist.
Uh,
We have no.
from this consumer microservice, there is no any place, there is no database. I don't want to store employee information in consumer microservice, right?
Right.
This
Right.
information must go to the employee microservice, right?
Right. Right.
So here I'm saying, okay, this information I want to save in the employee microservice. So here I have to communicate, talk means ki consumer microservice now going to talk to the employee microservice, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. I see. I see. Yeah. Yeah.
So here, our case, this is the my consumer microservice. This is my consumer microservice. Now they have employee object. They have one object employee, right? This
Right.
information come from me. Now this information, consumer microservice is not responsible to storing all the employee details, right?
Right.
For employee detail, we have already employee management service, right?
Right.
I want, hey, consumer say, hey, this is the one employee object I have. Please take it and store in your database, right? Okay. Whenever I
Right.
need, I'll call you again and give me, right? So in this way, this informations, whatever they have, they can just delegate to the employee service. Employee service are properly managing employee detail, right?
That's right.
So here we are going to, hey, so how to communicate one microservice to another microservice using the REST client,
Yes,
right?
client. Yeah.
Here say, hey, REST client, REST client, REST client. I want to uh, let's create REST client. Okay, I have to create REST client and say, hey, I want to not get. I want to this time post, right? I want to call the post endpoint, right? So I have to
Right.
select the post endpoint, right? Post. Post endpoint because you have to say the URL, what the URL, right? Post endpoint.
Right.
Say, hey, what is the URI? Okay, tell me the URI, right? What is the URL you want, right?
Right.
So here you have to give URI. Yes, something those URI you have to give the create option, right? So maybe here you can give the create option as well as right. Create and then post. So we have anywhere you can post the URL. Maybe directly you have option. Just post and that URI. Which URL you want to post, right? So which URL I am to call? Because first we have to know this consumer microservice must know which endpoint I am going to call, right? So how consumer microservice know? Consumer microservice going to check, hey, employee service, you have any endpoint which I can consume? So in this endpoint, you have a this my endpoint, right? This is the endpoint, right?
Right.
So this endpoint we are going to the call. Okay.
Can you
So
go? Can you go down little?
hmm,
No, no. In the post. Can you open post? No. Yeah. No. No. Yeah.
yeah,
Click
this
on
one
post.
post,
Click
yes.
on. Go down. Scroll.
Go
Scroll down. No.
huh?
No.
First
Click on post
post.
and is yeah. Scroll down.
Huh?
Okay. Now there is a URL, right? That
So no, by default, this URL, let's say this is the URL, your post URL. How to generate? We have the option. Just test it, try it, and let's see. I want to paste for Kamal. Okay.
yeah.
So whenever post na Kamal, when we get here, notice this URL by default they are calling, right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
How this URL become? Notice this URL come from here top. This is your base URL, right? This is the base URL. A
Right.
slash employee says slash employee come from here, right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
In this way, Swagger generate complete your URL. This is the your base URL, right? This is the URL you want to call. So here say, hey, this is my URL. You say, hey, consumer. Consumer know कि this is the URL. So I say, hey, consumer, this is my URL, right?
Right. Right.
But next question, for the get endpoint, it's okay, I am getting data. But here, I have to some send data, right? So where I'm posting the data because I have an employee object, right? This is the employee object. This
Right.
employee object I want to send. So generally, notice in the Swagger, employee information you are posting in a request body, right? Here.
Right.
Here also we have a similarly is this documentation say whatever information you have to put in the body, right? This is the body.
Right.
So you have to say, hey, I am going to say this information put in a body. Body, what body? This employee information. This is the employee. Okay. So question is whenever this microservice going to call to the employee service are expecting you give me the notice this data here I am passing in the form of JSON, right? Application. Here you have to also send key our applications are receiving data in the form of what the content types. So notice here they mention you have to set this content types our JSON file because we are
Right.
sending a JSON, our application receive JSON. Same in the case of Postman or anywhere. This information you are not creating employee object, just this one JSON, right? The
Okay, so you
similarly,
need to mention that too.
you have mentioned ki, hey, my content types kind type is a application JSON right here, right?
Hmm.
Dot content types, okay, is the uh, application JSON. Okay, what say? Okay, okay, okay. So this we have to import. This come from here. This is the your application content types application, right? So you have to just pass here. So this variable, notice you have to by default IntelliJ import in the static here. Notice this is come from a static framework, right?
Right.
That is. So here you can hard coded type value, or you can use, you can say this constant variable. This variable defined by, if you click here F3 inside this library, Spring library itself, right? This is library. And what the meaning? Application slash JSON. So you can write direct this value or this value, doesn't matter, right? So
No, this
all
value
object
or is
uh,
application slash
hard
JSON.
coded value, JSON, right? Yes.
Hardcoded value. Yeah, right,
So good preferences, just follow this document, say ki you can use this variable, right? You can use, right?
right,
And then body, then retrieve and get response, right?
right,
Here say, hey, now I'm pass the body, and after that, whenever you're hitting response, after that you are expecting some response, right?
right,
So say retrieve, and after that, what you say? Just uh, here notice here notice get and push and two bodiless entity, then they return something, and lots of options. I want to return body, they can return body. Let me check. So here say dot again to entity, I want to get the entity response, because our endpoint return the, whenever I hit here, because our endpoint return the response the body as well, right? This is the return, right?
right.
So I want to response the body, right? So here say, notice these are very sequence API. REST client create post endpoints, URL, content type, body, retrieve, and to uh, uh, and here which kind of response we are expecting? Employee kind of, ठीक है? And done. And just say same thing. You say, hey, I want to return, right?
Right.
Okay. What say this? Okay. What is the variable they assign? Dot where? Okay, they are returning the entity, and this entity just return this value here, right? Okay. Sometime you say miss return types, then you have to figure out this endpoint what return value, and then here you can say, hey, this is my return, right? So this is very decent API. Now your consumer microservice are going to talk to the employee service with via the REST client API. These are the create, post, URI, content type, body retrieves, and to entity response, right?
I just need some clarification. So this
Yes.
one, uh, your consumer API is talking
Mm,
to employer,
employees. Yes.
employee. Okay. So REST client dot create
Mm.
dot post. That
Uh,
means I am
I am
I'm
going
making
to
a post
invoke the
request.
post point. Yes. So what is
Post
the
request.
URL? It's the URL.
Yeah, yeah. And what is the
Content
next
type.
one?
Yes.
Okay. What is the next line means? Body,
Body means ki I want to post endpoint. That means you are sending some data, right?
right? Okay, so
Which is
that's
the data?
body.
This is the employee object. Say that this is the body. Whenever go here and here you want to create the post endpoint, you this is the URL, and then this is the body, right? This is the body passed.
Right.
This body we have to set that this is the body we are setting here.
Okay, but in this case, we meant the body of consumer.
Body of no what we receive. what we receive, what we want, right? I want to
What
save
we,
employee, I want to pass the employee object.
yeah. So okay, so the it's a body because the request is in the body.
Right. So here you have to, maybe here you can say, hey, I, maybe in this way you can test or just comment out, or simply say I have to create one employee here, employee,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I want to create the new employee, okay, and
Right.
just employee dot set name and set this is the Samir, okay, this is the,
Right.
okay. So this say, hey, this is the employee I am going to set here. So how our intention, this data you can receive from anywhere. You can receive from the database or from anywhere. For testing, I say कि this value hard coded I can pass from the consumer API. Okay.
Okay.
Due
Okay.
to that, I say कि, hey, I am going to use this.
Right.
So we have a both option. You can use generate here or anywhere, right? That's your option. So
Right.
this body part, whatever you're setting, this is your requirement. This value come from your manually creating object or come from the some URL from third party anywhere, right?
Now the next line, retrieve.
Because now I want to get up. If you sending something, you want to respond some from the server, employee service,
Right.
and what kind of response you are expecting? I am expecting employee kind of response, right?
Right. Employee dot class.
So this means whatever you are doing from manually from the Swagger, right?
Right.
The same thing I am going to do from the code. Just
Okay.
difference.
Right.
How I'm testing this post endpoint from the employee microservice? I'm opening the Swagger, opening this URL, right? And just
Right.
going to the this endpoint and putting the data and clicking here and verify the response. So these
Right.
things we are doing as a human being manually. The
Right.
same activity I am trying to say, hey, one application can also do. This is the my one application consumer microservice doing the same thing exact what we manually testing the post endpoint of the employee service.
Right.
Because now this become automation. One always human being not needed to generate data, right? One application
Right.
can generate data, right?
Right.
So this is the beauty of your REST client. REST client, nothing. Whatever you are doing testing from the manually Swagger or curl or Postman, same thing we are doing from the Java code.
Right.
First thing clear, REST client is nothing new. Here you can say just we are testing our post endpoint via Java code, not via manually Swagger UI, not Postman, not curl.
Right.
It's clear?
Yeah.
So here, you can say the communication between the two microservices, nothing. Whatever you are doing manually, that manually activities transfer from human being to the application. Now this communication, previously this is the get endpoint, all the endpoints we are manually testing from the Swagger itself. Now this activity is done by our application.
Right.
Here you are not doing anything extra, just we are testing this post endpoints work or not. I have a data I want to test, right? I want to save, right? It's clear.
Right. Yeah.
Let's restart and test. So notice this consumer microservice have not any database, just they receive some information from anywhere, from the database, from file system, from hard coded value, and just they are saying, hey, employee service, I'm going to call your this endpoints. This is my data. Can you store in database, right?
Right.
And whenever I need it, I call and you give me, right?
Right.
So let's check. This my consumer refresh endpoint. Now here say, hey, so now from this microservice, I am generating some data, and this data go in this employee microservice, right?
Right.
Like, here I say, hey, I am going to just test team. Okay. So this team information, this microservice generate. This generate from Swagger UI, customer anywhere. This may be UI
Right.
application, right? Now I
Right.
am sending this request. So this request is going received by this consumer microservice. Consumer microservice after receiving, they are going to again call to another microservice, right? So let's test. And now we are getting some response here. And notice what happened. This information you are getting here, but this information getting from where? This information internally go to the employee. So notice the employee ID 9. If I am check this here, hey, I want to check employee 9 exist in your database or not, right? Let's check
Right.
here. And notice this endpoint 9 exists at team. So this data
Oh, okay,
not
okay. Yeah.
generated by this microservice. This is
So this
generated by
data already been sent to that
a
microservice.
consumer microservice generated this data, right?
Hmm.
So why how due to this just I'm microservice, this REST endpoint going to consume data. So here REST client nothing, just whatever you are doing manually from the Swagger or from Postman or from your curl API, same thing you do from your Java code.
Right.
Is it clear? What is the
Yeah.
REST client mean?
Yeah.
So maybe I want even post endpoint. Maybe now you can generate now here communication between the consumer microservice and your employee service are established. Any number of requests. Hey, I'm going to create the new request. Maybe Anis, right? New. So
Yeah.
notice here there is no kind of Anis record. But whenever I'm just where is this? Yeah, I'm going to generate, then the Anis record also come. Let's check the database here. Which database of this employee service, right?
Right.
And let's open the. This is the 808 port, and let me this we are enable 1 minute. Uh, Application property. I enable something. Okay, I not enable H2 console. Let's first enable H2 console here, right? So I can show the database as well, right?
Right.
Let's go to the my blog post, and here we have to
You want to activate H2 on consumer?
not needed as on consumer there is no database na consumer you are not saving anything, right? There is no repository, there is no entity, right?
Yeah. Then which microservice you're activating the H2 database for?
Employee service.
Employee. Okay.
Okay, so this is the consumer. I'm not going to here, I am going to interested in employee service, right?
Right.
So employee service store employee information, right? So
Right.
here there is no something nothing. So I am just going to H2 database configuration. Here I am just going to add this information right here. Okay,
Yeah.
and just this. Okay, enable console. So I think just go here and store. Now H2 database configure here, right? And the show SQL true, this enable, restart. And once restart, then I can access this
Right.
URL, right?
Right.
And let me check. This is the employee service database. By default, this link same as here. This is the link, right? This is the link, first link. This link you have to URL test, right?
Right.
So here notice by default this come because and username is a password connect. So notice this is the database and this is your employee table and this is the so notice this is come only this six information till now, right?
Right. Right.
Let's I'm going to not using this employee service, right? I'm not going. I'm just going to the consumer microservice. A consumer service going to generate one data Anis.
Right.
right? And after that, we will verify the employee service, this database new data come or not, Anis, right?
Right. Right.
And this is the consumer service. No, this is the consumer service. I am going to say, hey, just send one data to the employee service. Name is Anis. They send and test here, run these queries. Notice the new record come here, right?
Right. It worked. Yes.
And now even you can verify from his the employee service, get employees, and you are getting this new record is exists here, Anis, right?
Right.
So here, one microservice are not just getting data from another, can create data as well as. And nowadays, reality is that uh, in the all the cloud provider, generally first data generated by someone, right? Wha- Generated by human being, application, user, anyone, right? And later part you're consuming data, right? So
Yeah.
REST client say ki whatever the communication tool means get endpoint, post endpoint, delete endpoint, whatever endpoint you have, you can just do anything, right?
Right.
Let us one more. Sometime this our
They have.
employee service have added one more endpoint like delete endpoint, right? I have added just one more kind of a delete endpoint, right? Say hey, just delete, okay? Delete. At say here say delete mapping, right? So now I am going to say hey, delete by ID and pass just
Oh, you're
ID.
you're doing the delete as well?
Yes. Let's check our microservice able to delete some data or not, right?
Okay. Okay. Mm.
So now, okay. So this is delete endpoints. So whenever I start one more endpoint, this employee service exposed, right?
Right.
So restart and check. It's done and just refresh this. So here, employee service, we notice one more endpoint like the delete. So let us, uh, I will check here checking uh, first check record like just created seven, ID 7 for Anis record. Okay, we are just create again here record Anis 7, right?
Yeah.
Here say hey now get data. Now notice this microservice 7 data. I am say I'm going to check delete work or not, right? Delete first your
Right.
endpoint should work, right?
Right.
So let's try and say hey I want to going to delete the 7 in H2 database. You run this and you are 7 right here. So let's I'm going to delete this endpoint and test 7 deleted, right? And check
Right.
here again run 7 deleted, right? That means
Mm.
this endpoint microservice employee delete is working properly, right? Any record we can delete. So
Right.
this activity is also done by any application, maybe your our consumer application. Consumer application want to maybe call the delete endpoint, right?
It's
So
possible. Yeah.
let's do. So here in the consumer microservice, I am saying, hey, this is the consumer microservice, right? So I just remove this, okay? And here say, let's check the delete mapping, okay? Check the maybe delete mapping, okay? Or here you can say even get mapping. You can do any mapping. Here there is a no any mandatory. Okay, always in the case of delete, right? I'm just here say I'm going to uh, delete employee, right?
Right.
Generally this is not allow. In the case of delete, you mention the delete, right? So generally, but you can say, but just follow the preferred rule, right? Deleting something, eh? And here I am receiving the long id, right? Path variable is the long, right? Long id. Okay, so now this is the our REST client creating this post endpoint. Which endpoint I'm going to the call? This is the base URL, right? So if you notice this microservice delete, what is the endpoint? So this is the endpoint, right? This slash ID, right? Which ID want to delete, right?
Right.
This is the ID want to delete. Or you can notice this URL employees slash ID. So similarly here you can say, hey, I'm going to first, I'm going to delete, right? Delete, right? Delete not the content, right? And here slash, if you are API sake, you need a ID, right? Here notice in the comma you can pass your ID value. The two way. Notice this way, this is your application URL, right? Your HTTP host, your machine, port number, employee, this is the ID. So what is the ID value? Which I receive ID pass here. So in say you
Right.
can using this same variable notation, or notice the last guys, you can directly say put like here plus, right? Plus value also works, but generally preference way ki always use this annotation. Yeah, this is the ID, this is the my ID, I am going to replace the ID, right? This is the right. And now uh, here good part, whatever you are doing, this is also here mentioned, like here we are like a delete maybe, dot delete, okay? Somehow maybe not mentioned, but we can do here, not mentioned but we can do, right?
Right.
But here say URL dot delete and retrieve. After that, notice the whenever you are deleting, whenever you are deleting here deleting, what the response you're getting? You're not getting response anything. Why? Because in the case of your employee service, delete endpoints are return nothing, right? Void.
Right.
If you want to return the data, you can do here. But as of now, might be some endpoint not returning any data, right?
Right.
Then how will call them? Purpose is that we have to just learn the different combination. One returns data, one not return data. Then how will call them? So in this
Right.
consumer microservice, we are not say return and then what the data return. So here say after calling them, just check the some two entity, no status, just bodiless entity. I don't return to anything, right? So this is the box because we are not getting anything, right?
Hmm.
Yes. So notice this have a something problem. What they return? Just change the return types. What they are expecting, right? They are returning void,
Right.
nothing data, right? So in this way, you can just check the delete endpoint. This is the your
Why did you do void here?
void indicate
Response
no value returning.
and response entity.
This endpoint return this syntax. Ready?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Whatever the method you calling now, you can just go to the text directory, what they return. The same return, whatever return they return, you can use the here, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So finally, whatever this method return, this method return, this method return, this final last call method, what return? The same value we are returning here, right? So here should
Yeah.
be let delete,
But
okay?
in delete, we are not returning anything on the
But
original.
yes, original API here you cannot look a bodiless entity. You are not getting any body, right?
Hmm.
A different lots of method we have to explore here. Lots of method they have, right? You can only just check the status. Status means ki at least what a status has, right? On
Right.
status, with status, lots of options we have. We have to you have to explore all the options, other options, right? Let's restart and test ki I am passing any ID. This ID consumer request to the employee service. Hey employee, can you remove this record? Right? Here consumer service mean look like your UI application. Let's assume we have built one application. From application you can create record, update record, delete record, right?
Right.
So let's start it. Here my consumer and refresh, look like we are following delete. So whenever I am going to delete endpoints, they are going to the call. to the not deleting any consumer microservice. They are going to talk to the employee service. Hey, employee, can remove this. Okay, I have missed something here. To path variable, yes, mention. Okay, here I not notice. Here I not mention curly open class. Well, so this is the one learning. Whenever you are writing the path variable, right? The path variable in the consumer microservice, right? Path variable. Notice here I mentioned path variable ID, but here I'm not mentioning like this way, slash this, right? I'm not mentioning. So whenever you not mention this na in the Swagger, you are not getting any option where you type the value, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So here you have to. We have a two option. Or you can use the different way like consumer service. Here you have is the resource path variable instead of a. If you are in a path, then you have to pass here also mention. If you're not
Right.
interested to path here something, don't want, then here you have to not use the path. Here you have to the then the request param, right? Request parameter. This is the major differences, right? Sometime you confuse. I'm going to use the path variable or param variable, right? So
Right.
whenever you pass something in URL, then you have to use the path variable, right? Else I don't want to this here. I want to just get one input from this UI, right? You can use the request param. You have both option. Notice, let's explore this one. Notice in the case of our delete endpoint, I passing the path variable. This ID must be mentioned here, right? This is the one way
Right.
to get the value. Another way, in the consumer service, I'm saying no, no. I can use the request parameter. I just pass the ID. Don't pass slash here. I just do read from the body itself, right? Request parameter.
Right.
So let's do consumer. So just we have to apply the permutation combination. What other do? Notice here delete endpoints. Now I have a option to ID, right? So this ID come how? Notice due to this consumer service. This is the request parameter.
Right.
And if you write here path parameter, the our Swagger say I am not displaying this icon to you because you are not mention the you are not mentioning this here ID parameter, right?
Right. Right. That's why we use request param.
Right. So if you say here I need something ID, you have to pass your path parameter, right? If you don't
Okay.
want to pass your value, then you can use the request parameter.
Okay. So if you do this way, then it is gonna ask you to put the
Yes.
ID.
Yeah, here asking
Okay. So this box will show either way.
either way. No, this box will show just previously what we did. Previously, I am okay. Here I request the path variable, right? So
Right.
this box will not show. Let's say this is the path variable, and let's restart. This box will not show. Why path variable expecting you must also change this URI, but you are not changing here. So in this case, notice कि we are not getting the
No, but
uh,
okay. But if you put a slash ID there,
then it will come.
mm,
Then it
then
will come. And notice, let's refresh them. So here you notice I am not getting any what I am going to delete. There is no any option to write something, right?
right, right. Okay, okay. Yeah.
So this will only come. We have a two option. Change to the request parameter or here
Request.
add to
Okay.
slash this.
Okay. So we
Slash.
can either do request spam.
Yes. If I
Okay.
write this way and restart, and I can this box show
I
here.
got it. I got it. I'm gonna make a note of it.
This will come just permutation combination of practice, right? And even I don't know,
Right.
just doing practice permutation combination, we are aware. Oh, this is the things,
Okay. 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 But
right?
no. But this is same for in the like for this concept is same, right? For
Yeah,
other
yeah, it is
the
same.
whole thing
Yeah, whole.
the concept. Mm.
Yeah. So let's now notice I am getting this box. Notice.
Right, right.
So this box,
This is basically URI.
this
That's
is a
all.
box only come if I pass this ID parameter.
Right, right,
If you are using the path variable. Okay,
right.
good. And
Good.
notice here in the case of our here, similarly, so if you pass slash id, that means you are using the path variable. And if you say no, maybe I want to use the request variable at the request, that there, we have an
Cannot.
option. There is no need. Still, you can get this option. There is no need. Still, you can
Right, right.
get
I
this option.
understand. Yeah, yeah.
So they are doing look like both thing, right?
Right,
Giving the box to write and receive the value. So you can do both,
right,
right?
right,
Just different flavor, you can say. But path variable is the standard, you can say. A request parameter also Spring support, right?
right.
And now replace, you can get the
But
same. There is no
when we make a post call, then we use request body.
correct. Because the request body, we cannot pass the URL, right?
Right, right.
So let's check this delete works or not. Let's first check what database have some data. This the employee service have some data like let's say I want to delete the Smith 4 ID, right?
Right.
And here let's check the ID. This is the employee service and check employee 4 exists or not, right?
Mhm.
Employee 4. Employee 4 existing in the service of employee microservice, right?
Right.
And now our consumer microservice, I want to delete the employee number 4, right?
Four. Number four.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And just deleted them. And I am getting 200 success. And again, let's the check database. Notice 4 is removed.
Four is
And
gone.
even
Yeah.
our uh, our service, this service, notice they're going to test this and say, hey, null, no data found.
Right.
So you can say ki all the endpoint which are exposing this my microservice employee microservice. This endpoint can be consumed or accessed by curl by a curl or by a swagger or by a postman or by a Java code. Code means REST client. Right here, REST
Mhm.
client.
I'm
A
not
REST.
that good at curl. How to use it? It's a command that you just
So it's a
paste.
already good option. Whenever I say run this query, right? I run this my 3. You have option here. This is your curl option. You copy
Okay.
this code. This is the copy the code and go to the your maybe git bash in here and run this curl command. It's work. Swagger generate curl command for you. This is a good option. I will run. Thus run it. You are getting response, right? This is the
Okay. Okay. But is it something that is used in the production environment?
yeah. Generally writing a test cases. Lots of term curl is very use the automation test case somewhere.
So I have to get used to it. This one.
Used to, but bad good option. Curl generate those script for you. This is the view. Notice this is a
Right.
curl
Right.
request.
Mhm.
The Swagger have lots of given option. You can do this is the curl option, right?
Okay.
Good. And in the curl, you can do fire get endpoint, post endpoint, delete endpoint, every endpoint.
I got it. Yeah.
Browser, yeah.
Today was it was resourceful. Like we cover like delete and as well as post from the third
Mhm.
party
Yeah,
microservice
yeah.
consumer.
And good part, yes, we have to if you want to post endpoint. Get
Mhm.
endpoint, you can test from the browser, Chrome, that no problem. Get endpoint test from the Postman everywhere. There is no issue to get. Only always problem in the case of post endpoint. Post endpoint you cannot hit from the browser. You always need the Postman or the Swagger or a curl,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But here we have to put body notice. Whenever I am typing here something, I have to application says JSON and request body. Notice here. Why say
Request
application
body.
JSON and request body? Same notice in our consumer class. Whenever I'm going to the post endpoint, I passing. This is the URL. This is the application JSON. This is the content.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
exactly. Yeah.
whatever you are doing here in the Postman, notice first you want to call the Postman. The first you access this browser base URL,
Oh,
right?
oh, now I understand what you mean. Now I understand.
This is the consumer, this is the base URL.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then which endpoint you are calling to employees, right? So here say, hey,
Right,
this is the employee endpoint. What is the post endpoint? You say, hey, client, this is the post endpoint, right? Post
right,
endpoint URL, this is the URL of application JSON and body. Here say notice swagger. This is the our application JSON and this is the body.
right,
And
right,
then you submitting. Then you submit means here in the case of REST client, submit means retrieve.
right, right,
Here notice this button like green button execute. Execute means and after the response, right? Execute
right,
means here in the REST client retrieve, and this is the response. What you look there. So
right,
whatever these four lines you are doing, same thing you are testing from the Swagger as well as, right?
right,
So this is just one more way to test your REST endpoint. The REST client is nothing, just another way to consume or call your test or use your existing REST endpoint.
right,
That this is just from the Java side code, right? Sometimes no, this is the scripting code, any code you can do. If you are able to test anything from your code, that means this can done by your inside a loop. Let's say I want to create the 100 employee, right?
right,
How to do? If I'm wrote in a code, you can do, right? Let's say
right,
I want to generate a 10 employee, right? Here. So let's say
right,
this is the one. Just them copy paste here. Just like I say, hey, I want to generate 10 employees. Okay, 10 employees. Okay, and here I am not receiving anybody. Just say, hey, nothing. Okay, and just say simple. Uh, what say? Get. I'm not receive anybody. Just I say get, right. Get this 10 my employee. Create. Here I am going to create. That's 10. Here say I am going to for loop for int stream. Let's int stream. Okay, int stream range close range 1 to 10. Okay, I want to get
right,
1 to 10, and here
right.
say for each what I am going to do
So you're trying
for
to
yes
create
I am going to create bulk requests. Okay,
bulk request. Okay, okay. Yeah.
yeah, this is the my
So
code. Okay,
yeah,
now what I'm doing, this is the my new endpoint, just create 10 employees, right? And I'm not receiving any input. I'm just generating 10 employee object and sending to the API, right?
yeah,
So here this is a for each employee, for each employee, I'm going to do something, right?
yeah,
This and here say this, okay? This is the things here I can now write my code. Here my write code, and here say I need the one employee object, okay? Employee equal to new, let's new employee dot emp dot set name, and let's check the dummy name, okay? Dummy name, and just underscore plus your index, whatever index I, right?
right,
1 to 10, right? I. So
right,
what here? I am just creating 10 employee and passing
right,
this here, and it's running in a
right,
loop, right? So in this
right.
way, whenever I call this endpoint, internally they are going to generate dummy 10 endpoints, right?
But isn't it? It looks like it's a post request.
Yes, post request. You can do any request in the loop, whatever, because you are writing just Java code.
Yeah, yeah,
As a human being, you have to go 10 times, hit the request, right?
right.
How our Java code do? Let's restart. I just ask a question. Any confusion?
Yeah, but in the mapping you put get.
Hmm. Okay. I don't want to return anything. Just say void. Okay.
Oh, you don't want to return anything.
Yes. Yes. Okay, just return.
Okay.
Just want to create the 10 endpoint, right? So here our objective, whenever you are able to test any endpoint from the code, and you have a lots of option in the code, right? This code run from a script, this code run from a loop, this code run from anywhere. Automation, if this is help us to write the automation test case, integration test case, right? Just let's refresh. Okay, no, this is the Swagger. This is my consumer service, right? Consumer control have a one endpoint like a create 10, right? Notice here. They have no any option. Just try out. And they have just option execute, right? Because you're not getting. And notice in the consumer here, this is only 5 record, right? 5 rows. Let's run this Swagger. Say execute.
Right.
And they have done. And let's check here. Notice 10 dummy records are generated.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. But that was a no return, right?
Yes, our this Swagger API just want to 10 employee generated, just generated. They want to get all, already they have endpoint get all employee, right?
Right.
Check all that. This, hey, give me the all employee. This is the
But
my all employee, right?
when you create something, it should hit the post.
Yes. For creating content, generally we use the post endpoint. This is generally, you can say generally, because the way we follow the rule, right?
Right, right.
But it's not a very hard and mandatory things, right?
But yeah,
Because here post indicate means you are going to the creating new content, right?
right, right.
So now little bit clear what is the REST client?
Yeah. But
REST client.
in this example, when you hit EMP on the other end, on the employee, yeah, did it hit the post or the
Post,
get?
post, create the post.
Oh, it hit the post. Okay, yes, yeah, yeah.
Because you mentioned the post, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's right.
That is the good part. Whatever we learn, like REST
Right,
client, we are
right,
not learning any new things. We are just try to test my existing endpoint, right? That may
right,
be one microservice, another microservice. Then anyway, you can give the different name: integration way, communication, calling microservice, testing microservice, whatever you can say. But objective here, just you are consuming one existing resources endpoint,
right,
right?
right, right,
These are the, why say this is a fluent API? Because this is very simple, right?
right,
What you are doing here, right? You are just saying, ki, hey, I want to just want to do something like want to REST endpoint, create, post URL, bodies, it's done, right?
right.
So I think we are covered a little bit that required about this REST client.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I
So you
think
can,
we
uh,
covered a good portion of it.
yeah, REST client. So REST clients is, you can say, another way to consume, use your microservice, right?
Right,
So this is
right,
my employee microservice. They have exposed lots of endpoint. This endpoint, this services, these resources can be used by the different way. One used by, let's, you are going to the build one UI application, right?
right,
Build UI
right,
application. Here say
right,
employee form, list of employee, right? Given the some option, right? And this
right,
endpoints your UI application call, right?
right,
Similarly, you can test from the, we are testing from Swagger, you are testing from the curl, you are using from this REST client, whatever tool. So finally, the place from where you are consuming, if you are using from another microservice, that means one
right,
microservice communication to another microservice, right? You are using
right,
from the command line, means command line executing yourself. So here communication tool means ki from which places you are accessing this service, this endpoints. If you are accessing from another microservice, that means
right,
ki communication between one microservice to another microservice.
right,
You are accessing from the one mobile application, one mobile application talking to another microservice, right?
Right.
Just like we are testing from Swagger, our Swagger is testing this API from curl, from Postman, from anywhere. The
Right.
REST endpoint or REST client is the another way to consume your services, right?
To consume service in another microservice.
Might be, can be. अब ये REST client can be one inside right in one microservice. In our case, we have written this REST client in the consumer microservice, right?
Right.
But
Right.
might be consumer microservice not required. Maybe the REST client you can write any one Java code application.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Even yeah, you can just write one main core Java code. You can write them, right? It works.
Hmm.
This is not a hard and fast rule, but
Right. Right.
you should know where you are going to use the REST client. You are going to use the REST client in another microservice. That is one microservice called to another microservice. If you are using the REST client, your core Java application call to this microservice.
Right.
So
Right.
point here, these resources, whatever the REST endpoint we develop, from where they are going to used, because this is the just backend code, right? Backend API we develop. These are used by the many places, right?
Right.
We cannot restrict. Maybe this endpoint can be consumed from the different cloud application, right? Mobile application, desktop application,
Right.
console based application, Swagger, Postman, curl, all are the different places from where this expose REST endpoint by this employee microservice are someone going to consume it. Is it clear? What
Yeah.
is the REST client? Your
Yeah. It's
integration
clear.
tool. It's good.
Yeah.
So whatever we did for the REST client, same you did. Maybe you can try either REST client. Both are the same thing. No differences, right?
You mean the
This is the
rest
REST
template?
template. Yeah, both are the same thing. Just this is the new form. This is the older form.
Okay. Okay.
So that we can say we can complete REST client in the Spring framework. Two things: REST client as well as the REST template. Both are you done. Both you
Right.
can test. Both works the same way. And REST client come under the integration. Notice this the documentation say, hey Spring framework under the integration, right?
Integration. Okay. Okay.
Integration
Mhm.
means here say this is the one microservice and this is the one microservice. You are integrating them, right?
Okay. 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 I see. I see.
Via
Yeah.
REST client.
Okay. Okay.
Integration sometime we are writing the integration test cases. Let's say I write the test cases and integrating means calling this lots of microservices, right?
Right. Right.
So sometime this REST client is used for your integration test case, maybe automation test cases, maybe communication between one microservice to another microservice. The lots
Right.
of terminology you can at- attach with this concept. But
Right.
basically, REST client means just one way to consume the expose endpoint from the any microservices.
Okay. Okay. I see. Mhm. And this whole thing is a part of integration,
Integration means just communication between
communication.
the two application, two microservices, two party, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
So hope now you get little bit sense how two applications are talking.
Exactly. This is a very useful knowledge that I just saw a live demonstration how they talk to each other.
Right. So now notice this is the my this is the mobile. On my mobile applications, you are getting accessing lots of application. Maybe one microservice deployed in the A cloud, one microservice deployed in another things, one microservice deployed in another thing, right? So in the
Right.
our mobile, whatever the UI develop here, UI develop internally, they are talking to the. our microservice. Internally, they are talking to the this microservice. Internally, they are talking to the this microservice. So here, talking, calling, invocation means just using one kind of client. Client means whatever this microservice expose API, our mobiles are calling them and getting the
Right.
data and displaying my UI. Notice, so on your UI, whatever you are getting, your employee detail, your bank detail, your financial number detail, that's all come from some kind of REST endpoint call response,
Okay, okay, okay.
right?
Now
If
it
you go
all
on your
makes sense.
mobile, just visit your maybe policy detail. Just go to the policy check. Check your policy detail. You are checking my policy name this, policy expiry date this, policy maturity date this. This information come from the one specific microservice that developed by someone, right?
Okay, okay. So that means the policy for that microservice.
Yeah. So here our mobile application UI calling the REST endpoint from your policy server, and policy server responding your policy detail. And
Right,
now you
right,
can view our policy on a mobile.
right,
So nowadays our mobile are internally using lots of communication between the lots of microservices, right?
right,
Right. Notice you can give your all the banking transaction data on a mobile. How possible? Because banking has a different server, all the data is stored in here, but it's still specific information, your profile detail, your transaction detail, you can view on a mobile, right?
right,
How
right,
possible? Via the client communication. Client means your mobile become a client here, and your bank become a server. Client
okay, okay.
Okay, your mobile request to hey bank server give me this detail. You are serving here instead of mobile. Here I am explaining this is the my employee service is a microservice, and here consumer is the my another microservice. Both are communicating. Here
Right,
consumer means your mobile apps.
right,
So just visualize on your internet or your mobile or your computer, whatever your data getting from some server, right? In the
mhm,
form of request and response.
right,
Okay, so these are the very basic things like a client code, but these are used heavily in the multi lots of places. We are using, just we are unaware about that, right?
right, right,
It's good.
right, right.
Lo- I think we are good because you just do practice. Any doubt, any confusion. But here I am trying to say this client is the very basic things, but that are heavily used things. Sometimes a
Heavy,
integration thing,
right,
sometimes a communication, sometimes a request response, sometimes a communication channel or protocol. You can lots of name you can give this word client.
right. So this is heavy. This concept is heavily used. This one.
Are you saying something?
Yeah, this is heavily used.
Yeah,
This one.
that's good. Let's do practice.
No problem. Thank you, Ajay bhai.
Okay, take rest.
Thank you.